Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, our production of Gore call, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, happy to have him back because he's got big nickel news. Terry Lynch is the CEO of Power Nickel, trades in Canada under the stock symbol PNPN for a friends in the US, CMETF. And look, guys, if you've seen what's going on with the price of nickel, and then you got to take a look at Power Nickel, given the headline they put out today. But what you got to know if you knew the story is the company is focused on its battery metal prospects in Canada, and that came through an option to acquire up to 80% of the Nisk Project as it transforms into providing battery metals for the emerging electrical vehicle industry. That's where Power Nickel wants to go. They acquired it from Critical Elements, which a lot of us know, big company on the TSX Venture Exchange. The Nisk property itself comprised a large land position with numerous historical high-grade intercepts and even a historical 43101. Normally we'd be talking about that today, but you'll see why we won't, because there's a new one coming, and it's in the jurisdiction with a number of mining projects and improving infrastructure. Today's press release that we're talking about, here it is. Power Nickel extends mineralization at Nisk and continues preparation for an updated 43101 mineral resource estimate. Terry, welcome back, my friend.
Always great to be here, George, and it's a happy day for us today. It's good to get our, finally get some news out on this project. I think people have been asleep on this one a little bit, and somewhat we let them be asleep because we felt that until we had the proof that we had a substantial nickel sulfate deposit, that talking wouldn't really get us too far. But now that the proof has started to come out with the assays, and there'll be another release in about a week, and then there'll be the 43101 in a few weeks after that, then it's going to be irrefutable that this is one of the most exciting nickel projects in anywhere in the world.
Wow, and I like that confidence. And you're not just talking your book; you've got the numbers to back it up. Before we talk about the numbers, how good are these results relative to other nickel projects that are out there? How happy are you guys with these results?
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly a high-grade nickel sulfate deposit, and we're very happy with it. I mean, this particular release today came from a lower grade part of our zone, and it's probably around, I don't know, 1.3, 1.4% nickel EQ. That's pretty high in the nickel side of things. Historically, our deposit is around 2% nickel EQ. So we'll have a release from our higher grade section of the project next, and that'll be exciting. We expect that'll be bullish and in line with the high grade results historically.
I like the way you're doing this. You're kind of giving us the low grade first, and then come out with the high grade. And I really like that. That means you got a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I wish I could say it was genius, but it's just really the way it shook out with the assays. You don't really get a lot of choice these days. So it's material news for us, obviously, because that's a major intercept that we posted, and it shows the mineralization has been extended from historically up to 150 meters, which is significant, and open in another direction. So yeah, very positive news, and structurally important from a mine development perspective as well, according to what my geologists and geophysicists tell me. So yeah, we're really bullish about it, and we're really just bullish about getting the news out to show people that, hey, if you've been asleep on Power Nickel to now, that's okay. That's a good pass for you because you're able to get in really cheap. But you better wake up, because this is going to be, in my mind, it's going to be the nickel story of this year.
Again, I'm going to timestamp that when you say that's going to be the nickel story of the year. I mean, again, and you're an industry veteran. You're not some guy who's here trying to talk a big game. And from the quote in the press release, it sounds like you got your objectives too, because that our objectives in this initial drill program were to conduct enough drilling to allow us to establish a new 43101 compliant resource, and to confirm and replace the historical one, which, by the way, is pretty big, but we don't have to talk about that right now, and to extend the known mineralization. You're 2 for 2, right?
Yeah, that's what we see, and I mean, it's in these deposits, these are not, laterite, so they're not several hundred million tons of 0.2% or something like that. These nickel sulfate mines are typically 10 to 50 million tons, and they're 2%, 1.5%, 2%, 3%, that type of range. So they're very profitable because the value of the rock is probably, $450 a ton. I mean, that's crazy value. So if you can get them, they're enormously profitable to sort of bring to market, and they're obviously quite rare. So we were very fortunate to be able to acquire it, and it just so happened that it was sort of languishing on Critical Elements books because they made such a mammoth lithium discovery that you can't be in lithium and nickel, and so we were looking. They were looking for somebody that they could work with that could develop it, and so they sold 80% of it, kept 20. They're not stupid, they're smart guys, so they kept the biggest piece they could keep credibly, and turned it over to us to develop it and advance it, and we're excited to be doing so. So it's
but since you bring them up, how does Critical Elements fit into the overall plan? Like, will they look to return to the project as this advances? How's it all play out?
you know what I mean, obviously it remains to be seen, but I suspect at some point one would think we'll end up with 100% of the thing. We'll acquire it in some way, shape, or form. I suspect we'll see in the future, but typically that's how these things end up. And then ultimately, what will happen to this deposit is it will be sold to a nickel mine developer. Whether that's a BHP or Waylu or Inco or it'll be somebody like that, or Glencore. I mean, Glencore is just north of us in Quebec. So somebody like that will come in and ultimately take it to production. That's not going to be our expertise. Our job is pretty simple. Find the resource, extend the resource, max the resource out, show it can be metallurgically produced in a safe and efficient way, and then then sell it. So that's what we'll do.
Let's talk about why they would do that, because obviously there's a strong underlying nickel, the macro story for nickel right now. It's almost like your timing couldn't be better. Let's talk to everybody at home. How's the overall nickel macro look for you, the macro story?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I wish I could say that I saw this coming when I bought it. I mean, I thought it was going to be good, but I had no idea it was going to transform into this. I mean, when we bought the project, nickel was $5 a pound. Now it's close to 12. It looks like it's heading into the teens and beyond. And the reason why is that nickel is basically, if you think of it, generally there's two major drivers. One is urbanization. So as South America and Africa and Asia, get more urbanized, people are having more pots and pans and more fridges and stoves, and that all uses stainless steel. And that's nickel's biggest market by far. So that's the big driver. Second driver is the electrification, which you alluded to earlier on when you mentioned on your opening. Well, obviously, as we move into this, sort of carbon-friendly world, you need more batteries. And batteries, by weight, the biggest component is nickel. And it's growing each and every day because nickel's also the cheapest component in a battery. So all the metallurgists, all the chemists are all trying to figure out, concoctions which have more nickel and less lithium and less cobalt and less manganese, just to bring the cost down. So that's all great for the nickel, sort of price curve. And you can see nickel projects, they're generally even our, like a project like ours would be a couple $100 million to bring to production, and some of the laterite deposits are well into the billions. So these are not simple projects to, it's going to take several years to bring them out. And if you look at the sort of the demand curve for nickel and the supply curve, there's a major gap there. It's significant and growing. So this pricing that's there is it's going to increase. So I mean, we can see a very bright future for nickel, and that's going to behove for power nickel. Fantastic.
This one I'm going to play devil's advocate. And by the way, look, you're you're one of the most credible guys in the whole junior resources space. So what you take, I take, your word exactly. But there are going to be some people at home wondering, hey, we're hearing a lot of companies, Georgecom Nickel, Georgecom Cobalt, Georgecom. Everybody's going to be a player in the battery metal space for electric vehicles. It's going to be their product that's going to be sitting inside of these batteries, right? What is it about NISK and its grade and its locate, the whole package? Because it also matters where it is, right? If you're in
all very good. Hey, listen, George, we've been around the money business for forever, and we know most of it is BS, right? We know 90% of that stuff is crap out there. but there is some great projects. We happen to think we've got one of them, and we're happy to stand the test of time to show why that is the case. The big reasons we like it: the deposit is close to the surface, so there's likely to be an open pit portion of this, which will make it much more economic to bring to the table. Ultimately, you got to get to 10 million tons probably to be really red hot. We think we're going to be close to 4 million after this round, and so we have to add it 6. Well, that's 60%. Another 60%. Well, you're off to a good start. The nature of these deposits, the way they work around the world, is they're typically in series of pods. So these nickel sulfate mines aren't like one big mine. There's usually multiple pods. So we've got one pod. We call it NISK Main, and it's there's a graphic I think I sent you earlier. You could even pull it up. It basically.
You want me to pull up that graphic?
Yeah, it might be worthwhile just to
give me a second here. Yeah, let's go.
So it has, that's in our view, we're going to get to 8 to 10 million tons right there. We think there's an excellent chance to do that based upon our modeling. And then we have the thing called NISK West, where we basically
here you are, Terry. So is this the image right here? We got 4 of them.
Yeah. So this NISK Main, and if the arrow, if you watch that arrow, like right where your clicker is there, that little dot is where our resource is, and the rest of it around it, not the whole area, just that dot.
Yeah, just a little dot right there.
Yeah. So it's got a lot of potential just to get to where we need to get to on NISK Main. NISK West was tested prior to our time, showed nickel mineralization. We didn't have the resources to go after that this time around, because we're really at this stage trying to verify, hey, this is a solid nickel sulfate play, and then get the thing revalued because it's crazy cheap right now. And then we've got these 2 wildcat targets that have the same geophysical signatures, everything about them as NISK and NISK West, haven't been tested. So
how far away are those, Terry?
You're probably looking at maybe 6 kilometers and 4, so very close. So you could have.
This goes back to the pods idea that you're talking about. That.
Yeah. So you could have a central spot to manufacture this, be no problem. So it's exciting. And then the other thing we liked about this deal, from the pure optionality of it, was these pods. Sometimes they have more than one layer. So right now, think of it as this is like a nickel river that's running through there, and it goes from like 80 meters down to 300 meters. We found one nickel river, and we're sort of proving it up. Is there another one? Like, we've never gone really deep, so we haven't even done like a 500-meter hole in this thing. So there might be something underneath, which is optionality. That's great. Sometimes what happens too, George, in these things is that these pods exist as sort of a halo over a VMS. So that would be like, underneath this is Voisey's Bay. Well, I'm not saying that's the case, but isn't it nice to have the optionality? And it's like it's at a bargain price, right? So that's the type of stuff that warms the cockles of a nickel miner's heart. So it makes you excited, and so we're pretty bullish. So on the screen right now, you can see the results came from the right area here, which is a sort of our lower grade zone right now. But it was an important, the results sort of showed connectivity, which was important from a mine development plan. So that's really good. And then the next phase is going to come from right in here, right in the middle there. It's going to come into where the red zone is basically a higher grade area, and we're expecting to get better results than we had today, which were excellent. So we're pretty bullish about what we're seeing here, and our modeling team is quite excited that their theories worked out, and that gives us more confidence to step out and keep on expanding this thing.
And Terry, you said that you need to get, you're going to get to about 4 right now. You need to get to 10. A lot of us at home don't know what that means in terms of the amount of work and timeline. To get, so ballpark, we know there's no way to project it.
So and listen, none of this stuff is, this is mining, so everything has to be taken with that Mother Earth decides. So
yeah, that's why I said I can't pin you down, but ballpark, if things go okay.
So we basically drilled 13,000 meters to get to the 3 million tons historically. We drilled about 20% more than that right now, so that's why I'm saying 3.7 to 4 is sort of like a realistic estimate. So to get to 10 million tons, we would basically have to drill about I would say 25,000 meters. Yeah, so So, that's 10 times our most recent program. But that we could do 25,000 meters in the next, like, I think the next one we have will be a major one. It'll be probably 6,000 meters or something like that. And then if that is successful, then we'd step it up even further. So we probably
Yeah,
get
presumably
that
you double up the amount of work, double the
yeah,
drills
certainly in the
and all
next
that.
certainly in the next 12 months we could get there. Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect because that gives me an idea of timeline that you can get there.
Yeah.
So you can get to the amount of drilling necessary to get to that 10,000 ton over the next 12 months. Man, I don't want to ask about valuations, but if you get there, what league does that put you in if everything goes okay? Again, doesn't mean it goes
Well,
perfect.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't
I
matter.
mean,
It doesn't mean things go out
so
down the
the so
drain.
yeah, yeah. So basically the best way to look at it from a comparable perspective, the one we looked at that it's sort of like, what would you like to be when you grow up? Well, what NISK would like to be when it grows up is like the Talon Metals deposit. So Talon Metals has got a deposit in Minnesota, with Rio Tinto. They own 60% of it. Rio Tinto owns 40%. Talon Metals is valued at $500 million. So that, by reflection, makes that deposit worth about $800 million. So that's what a 10 million ton, 2% nickel EQ deposit is worth, generally speaking, in the market today. So that's sort of your upside. If you get there to 10 million tons, then that's what it's worth. If you go from 10 to 20, well, do the math. So it's got a lot of potential. And I mean, unlike a lot of arm waving stuff where you just got intercepts and never really pulled together a resource, and they're trading at 30 or 40 million dollars, we're trading at 13 or 14 million dollars. Baby, we've already got a significant resource. We're showing it's historical, yeah. But now we're showing the assays that it is going to be proven up. We're going to get a 43-101. That historical thing is going to drop. And, we could be 40% of the way to like a major deposit. And we're at, I don't know, 14, 15 million dollars today. So there's going to be, but, I respect that. I mean, the market has to be cautious in these things, and you have to get out and educate the market, which is why we do programs like yours to help to educate people. And I'm going over to Europe in about 10 days and doing some series of meetings over there to meet institutional.
I'm hoping more Western Europe than Eastern Europe, Terry.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we're going to be in Zurich and in Munich and London. So God bless that situation.
What should we look for? Have you guys, last question, have you guys got the plan laid out for the next round of drilling, or are you going to wait for the next set of results and the 43-101 until you guys start planning the next phase?
Yeah, the good news is the group that's doing our 43-101 3DGO, who've done an excellent job, and they're very confident. They've been developed a couple of mine plans in the area. And they work for Critical, so that's where we inherited that relationship, which is a real benefit, for us. And so they modeled the deposit for us. That's what we designed the exploration plan on. We've been successful with that. They'll obviously take this data and fine tune their model, and will extend their knowledge and allow them to go in certain other directions. And then we'll remodel and we have a broader exploration the next stage already ready to go. I'm sure that'll be refined somewhat with this information, and their 43-101 will just come out as a natural course because they've been involved with all phases of the operation. So they'll just update we're just waiting on this one assay, and then we'll plug everything in, and the 43-101 will come spitting out. It won't be months to do a 43-101 like it is sometimes. It'll be the early Q2. So that's good. And then, as soon as that's done, we'll get to permitting for the second round of drilling after it firms up in there, sort of probably in June.
Well, in the meantime, you've got historical to really as a great foundation. Now you've got new results that kind of proven that up. You got a 43-101 that's going to replace that, and
Yep.
you've got the market, the macro nickel story at your back. Strongest that the company's ever been, strongest positions ever been in, Terry?
No question about it. Yeah, it's been, as you know, not an easy ride here. It's been, and for all of our long-suffering shareholders, I've been at it for 10 years getting this to help a friend out, and it's been obviously the last 10 years have been tough on junior mining. But I think finally, we've got an enormous opportunity here to create some value for our shareholders and obviously provide a valuable metal for the world. So it'll be a good news story, I think, and we're looking forward to executing and delivering the goods.
And it certainly feels like the junior mining, the junior resources space seems to now like it's getting its turn in the sun, right? Because for the longest time,
It looks like
we had cannabis and technology and all sorts of other things.
we're no longer
and
the leper. Yeah, no, it looks like we're about to have our a moment in the sun. I think it's going to get stronger as we go through here. I'm really bullish of what's going to happen next fall. I think next fall is going to be big. I mean, I think people are starting to get into it now, but obviously you've got this overlay of obviously the current dynamic in Russia and the Ukraine, and that's worrying people. But at the end of the day, I'm sure they'll find a way to resolve that in some way, shape, or form, and the world will go on, and it will need a lot more nickel, and it will need a lot more copper, and it will need a lot more oil. It's just one of these things that as we populate the planet more, we consume more resources, and it's not easier to find it. So it's going to be bullish. You look at the price curve for just about anything, it's pretty positive. And like nickel,
$5 to $12. I mean, that's
what can you
what
say?
140%. That's 140% jump in
Yep.
12 months.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, today we celebrate what you've done. It's been a while for us in between 1 and 2 here because we had to wait for these. But It sounds like I'm going to have you back twice more now.
Yeah, we're going to be back
pretty short order
soon with this next set of releases, hopefully, and sort of say I told you so. Yeah, so it's coming.
Can't wait, Terry. Thanks for joining us today, my friend.
Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening to my podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Terry Lynch, who's the CEO of Power Nickel, trades in Canada under PNPN, for our friends in the US under CMETF. This is your chance now to do due diligence. Look, guys, the headline is there. I'm going to read it again. Power Nickel extends mineralization at NISK and continues preparation for an updated 43101 mineral resource estimate. It's go time now for you to do your due diligence. We can't tell you what to do in terms of buy, sell, but we can tell you here's the 2 ways to do your due diligence. First, get the company's profile page in Agoracom, because we know for a lot of people out there, nickel and resources aren't the easiest thing to understand. Good 1,000-foot overview so you know what's happening. And then when you're ready, jump over to the company's website from Agoracom, do your deep dive due diligence. And remember, keep a lookout. Next set of drill results coming out. 43101 coming out before the end of Q2. Sounds like early Q2. So there's a lot to watch for Power Nickel. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.